Hello, everybody. It's been a long time, 4 years to be exact, but I'm back. So, without further ado, welcome to Marshals.Matters. We talk about the sports topics that matter to me, Marshall. So, for today's episode back, the draft is tomorrow, 4/24. It's 4/23 right now. So, I'm going to give you my top 5 underhyped and overhyped prospects for the upcoming draft tomorrow night. All right, so starting off first, clear things up. I'm a Sooner fan. I'm a Vikings fan. I used to be a Mavs fan. Hashtag fire Nico. So now I just like watching the game. Rangers. I'm not huge into baseball, but I like to watch the Rangers play. The hockey. Don't really know the sport, but it's fun to watch. All right, so I'm going to start off with the underhype. These are 5 players I strongly believe do not get enough hype and do not get enough recognition for the work they did their years in college. And yes, I'm a homer. 2 Sooners are on this list. So starting off first, Billy Bowman, safety nickel from the University of Oklahoma. Billy Bowman has exceptional ball skills, 11 career interceptions, and he has the ability to take it back to the house. He was actually a return man for Oklahoma in his early years. However, with that being said, he is slightly undersized. He's not a big safety. He's not a big body, but he can tackle and he can lay the wood if he takes a good angle. But sometimes his angles, he plays a little too fast. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it'll be such a big issue in the NFL, but definitely watching his tape throughout his time as a Sooner, he would take the correct angle, but he would get there too soon, which would allow the running back to either change course, do a little hop step juke, or even just completely stop and let Billy blow by him. I don't think that'll be such a big issue in the NFL where guys are faster, stronger. So I think he'll probably won't be a full-time starting safety, at least not for a couple of years, but he can step in and be your nickel corner from day one. So with all these guys, I'm going to do a pro comparison. My pro comparison for Billy Bowman Jr. is Harry the Hitman Smith. Now, hear me out. It's not because I'm a Vikings fan. It's because if you go back and look at Harrison Smith, especially early on in his career with the Minnesota Vikings, the dude was an absolute stud center fielder. He would play back there, single high coverage, and he could just read a defense better than most safeties. He was like the Luke Kuechly playing safety. Billy Bowman has that same ability. He doesn't lay the wood like Harrison Smith does, but he can be utilized as a Swiss Army knife and be put. He can play backer, he can rush, he can play nickel, and he can play deep safety. Right now, analysts have him going in the 2nd to 3rd round of the NFL draft. I do believe with his talent and his production, he deserves to be at least a fringe first-round draft pick. Next on my list is Danny Stutzman. He's a 4-year vet for the Oklahoma Sooners, 3-year full-time starter, led the Sooners in tackles every single year he played. There's concerns about his speed. I don't really know why. I want to say he ran a 4.5 40. People say he's not really a coverage linebacker, and I will agree to that. In the run game, he's dominant. Absolutely stud. Doesn't get beat by blockers when he's trying to cut the gap. And when it comes to taking an angle, especially if the run is outside, he reads it and he attacks. Now, this year, he took a bigger step in OU's pass defense, but he struggled, especially early on. But as the season progressed, he got so much better, so much quicker, so much faster to reaction. And especially in zone coverage when when OU would play cover 3 in a nickel formation, Danny had the middle of that field, and it was on lockdown. And I do think in the NFL, he will continue to get better as his game progresses. And my pro comparison for Danny Stutzman is Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's an all-pro, possibly even a Hall of Famer. Was a leader of that Seattle Seahawks defense for years. Danny Stutzman reads, blocks, and reads plays just like Bobby Wagner. And if you have any doubt, go look up Bobby Wagner's draft day analysis and then go look up Danny Stutzman. I rest my case. Now, Stutzman's probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, but I don't think he should fall out the 2nd round. Next up, my number 3 underhyped prospect, Cam Ward, quarterback, University of Miami. Y'all going to say, but Marshall, he's a projected number 1 overall pick. How can he be underhyped? For one, I have receipts stating that he was going to be the first quarterback taken whatever year he came out back in 2021 when he left Incarnate World. I watched this dude at Incarnate World and absolutely destroy his competition. I watched him all the way at Washington State, where in Mike Leach's offense, he's dominating. Well, it wasn't Mike Leach at the time, but RIP Mike Leach. And then he goes to Miami and balls out. People are going to be hidden. All right. So, from what I've heard, the biggest knock on Cam Ward is he just looks like he doesn't care. He's so lackadaisical. Everything looks easy. It looks like he just doesn't care. Well, in the bowl game, he didn't really need to play. I mean, he was protecting himself. Yeah, he took himself out at halftime, but a lot of stars didn't even play. My thing with Cam Ward is if he goes to a coach that lights a fire under his butt and really gets into him and he respects that coach, I think Cam Ward is going to run through a wall for a coach that actually respects him and gives him challenges. That being said, he's got the best deep ball, the best mechanics out of any quarterback in this class, outside maybe Quint Ewers when it comes to pure arm strength. So my pro comparison for Cam Ward is a smaller Cam Newton with a better arm. If he goes to a system that really challenges him and he rises to the challenge, they got themselves a franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. Next up, I got Jared Wilson, the center from the University of Georgia. He is the best pure center in this year's draft. When I say pure center, I mean he's not going to split out to guard on the left or right side. He is going to be your man in the middle. He is probably the best pure pass blocking interior lineman in this year's draft from the center position. Dude also ran a 4.8 40. As a center, as an offensive lineman, as a lineman in general, that is almost unheard of, especially for an offensive lineman. His only detriment is he lacks pure body strength in the run game. And that can be overcome, especially with NFL coaching, with an NFL trainer, and getting on the right nutrition, getting his body right, getting his strength up. I think the run strength will come with time. But with that being said, if he goes to a team that uses a zone blocking scheme where he has help and then he can pass his guy off on the D-line and go get a linebacker, he has the speed to do that. That's where he's going to excel. So my pro comp for Jared Wilson is Tyler Lindenbaugh, the center for the Baltimore Ravens, who came out, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago in the draft and has really solidified himself into a top 10 center in this league. Lindenbaugh, also amazing at pass protection. His knock was, can he finish in the run game? I bet if you go ask Lamar and Derek, they'll say he's doing just fine. And I believe Jared Wilson will be just fine. Last but certainly not least, on the under high prospects, I have Shamar Stewart, edge from Texas A&M. Now, if you go back and look at previous mock drafts at the beginning of the season, and even last year, this dude has been projected a first-round pick from the very beginning. But the production does not match the freakish athleticism that this dude has. I have a couple of theories to why that may be. First and foremost, coaching. You can't blame coaching for everything, but if you go look at the same recruiting class that he was with Texas A&M and the one before that, go look at how many 5-star prospects they have on the defensive line, and then go see how many actually made it to the NFL. I mean, come on, that's a lot of blue chip talent for not any NFL production, hardly. This dude, and when I say he's a freak, he is a freak. He's a freak of nature. And if he can actually learn and be coached on how to use his hands, how to use his body, how to use his speed, because right now he just wins with pure speed and athleticism. If you seal off the outside, it's done. He doesn't do a rip move or a swim move back inside. Doesn't really do a spin. Those things can be taught. Pure speed, size, and athleticism cannot be taught. The dude has it in spades. My pro comp for him is Danielle Hunter. If you go look at Danielle Hunter coming out when he came out in the draft over a decade ago, or maybe it was 10 years ago, but if you go and look at him, he had freakish athleticism, tested off the charts, hardly any sacks in college, no production, fell to the 3rd round, rotational player for the Vikings for a year, and then blew up. You know why he blew up? Proper coaching. And with Shamar Stewart, a team takes him in the back end of the 1st round, they're getting sealed the draft. It may not look immediately that way, but give it a year, 2 years, he'll be the steal of the draft. And I promise you that. Okay, now let's get to the overhyped prospects. First on my board is Luther Burden. Hope I said that right. Burden, receiver from Missouri. This dude was the projected 1st overall wide receiver, pure receiver, not named Travis Hunter, who's not a pure receiver or a cornerback. He's both. And I do believe all the hype that he gets is well-deserved. But Luther was the number 1 receiver prospect for the last 2 years coming in. And I don't see the hype. When I watched him play, especially against Oklahoma, they ran gadget plays to get him the ball. He doesn't win downfield. He doesn't beat one-on-one man coverage down the field. He's not very good at contested catches. When he makes his money, it's from the line of scrimmage when he can beat his guy off the line, but instead of going vertical down the field on a go route, it's a short in route. He catches, makes a couple guys miss, and then goes down. That's his game. He is going to make his killing within the 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. I may be wrong on this one. I could eat crow, but I don't think so. My pro comparison for him is Laviska Shenault. If you watch any of his highlights coming out of college, him and Luther are the same receiver. And I believe Luther, if he's the third receiver on a team that can use gadget plays to get him open, that can limit his receptions to about 50 to 60, he'll probably average 50 to 60 to 750 yards a season. And if that's your third receiver, that's a great third receiver. But he does not have any business being your first or second option. If I were to draft him, and I was the GM, the earliest I would take him is the third round. And he's probably going semi-high in the first round, late first round. Second, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, University of Colorado. Nepotism at its finest. If Shedeur didn't have Dion as a coach or as a father, he would not be considered a first-round pick. And even a weak quarterback class, he should not be considered a first-round pick. Plays hero ball way too much and does not have the athleticism to back it up. Nor does he have the pure arm strength to push the ball down the field like he's going to need to in the NFL. If you go watch some of his plays, he really reminds me, and this is my pro comparison for him, is a 33-year-old Russell Wilson. The ball doesn't get pushed down the field. They would rather take a sack than force an incompletion or throw the ball away. And when he does his drop back is so much deeper than the other quarterbacks in his class. That's the reason why he took so many sacks this year. Not because his tackles sucked, but because his drawback was so far that the tackle was getting beat to the outside, and he didn't step up in the pocket because he's too far back. You cannot do that in the NFL. I really thought I wanted him to be generational. I wanted him to be good. He's just not. And if I was the GM, no earlier than the fourth round. Third, we have another nepotism baby. Mason Taylor, tight end for LSU. If you would have had this draft 15, 20 years ago, before the passing game really took over, and you had guys like Jason Witten, who were exceptional run blockers and exceptional chain movers, that's Mason Taylor. He is decent in the run game. Not as good as he should be. With his size, he should be clearing middle linebackers out. However, he gets overpowered a good majority of his run steps. But he tries, and he actually does get his block, but he doesn't finish them. He's a pure inline blocker who is not going to flex outside very much. And in today's day and game, most teams want their tight ends to be able to flex out wide and be that third receiver option. 20 years ago, he's probably a top 15 tight end in the league. In today's day and age, he's a third string tight end, maybe second, come in for goal line situations at best. My pro comparison for him is a very, very, very poor man's Jason Witten. 7th round, 6th round. Hope that, he turns into a very good special teams and rotational player. That's just about it. My fourth overhyped player is Quinn Ewers. And it's not because he's from the University of Texas, I promise. If you haven't been living under a rock, the last 4 years, you've heard his name everywhere. From being recruited out of high school to transferring from Ohio State to getting all the NIL money. The dude has been in the news every year. However, Quinn Ewers likes to play hero ball way too much. He has good athleticism. He can move in the pocket, but he's streaky. And we're not playing basketball where you have a three-point shooter that's pretty good, but he's only really good when he's on a streak. Your quarterback should not be a streaky player. The most important player in your franchise should not be streaky. He should be dependable. You should know what you're going to get game in and game out. Quinn's going to win you some games. There's no doubt about it. He has too much talent not to. But when he is on a cold streak, he stays on that cold streak. And you never know when that cold streak's going to hit. And he's just not reliable until he figures it out. I do think Quinn is the second best quarterback in this class. But if I'm drafting him, it's with the assumption that he is going to sit for 3 to 4 years before he ever takes that football field in a regular season game. My pro comparison for him is a better version of Daniel Jones at this moment. I do think with proper coaching and proper technique, Quinn could be one of the best picks in this draft. But where he's going to get drafted at, if you're a team looking to compete now, you can't waste a pick on a quarterback who may or may not turn out to be a bust or a boom prospect that's going to take 3 to 4 years to fully come into his own. If I know for a fact that I'm a playoff contender or just outside playoff contention, I'm going to draft guys who can help me now, not 4 years into the future. But if I was the Raiders and I didn't care what anybody else thinks because I'm part of the Davis crew, Quinn would be a fun pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. I would take Quinn late second, early third round. Last but certainly not least, this is going to hurt one of my co-collaborators, Mr. Who You With. Follow him on YouTube. He's got an incredible channel out. We're both getting back into podcasts. We're both trying to get back into being the best versions of ourselves that we can be. So Mr. Who You With, follow him on YouTube. Also, follow me too if you want it. But Mr. Who You With graduated from Louisville. He is a diehard Louisville fan. And he can say it's his team because he went there. I didn't go to the University of Oklahoma. I still claim it's my team. It's what it is. But if you've been watching any mocks or any type of news on the draft for the last, I'll say 2 or 3 weeks, Tyler Show, I think I said it right, Show, we'll do Show. Tyler Show has been rocketing up dashboards, up all mock drafts. Teams are enamored with them. I believe this to be a smokescreen. 2 reasons. He's 26 years old, and he has an injury history as long as Anthony Davis. Hashtag fire Nico. But with the age and injury history aside, Tyler absolutely balled out this year. He truly, firmly believes he can make every single throw on the book. And when he's hurt, he does that Greg Jennings and put the team on his back, though. That was rough. I'm sorry if that joke fell flat, but it's my podcast, so. He makes throws that probably should never even be attempted. In the NFL, he's going to have better receivers than what he had at Louisville, but he's also going against better corners than what he faced in the ACC. I'm not against the ACC, Mr. Parker, but the ACC is no SEC. That being said, the dude is good, and I could see him coming in a la Tom Brady, late round draft pick, fills in for an injured starter, and balls out. But he's going to need a year to fully grasp an NFL offense, and at that point, he's 27, borderline 28. He's still in the prime of his years, but the prime of his years, he's going to be learning how to play quarterback in the NFL. When he comes in, he'll be a year younger than Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. They've been in the league for a while, but the dude can play ball. He's a great quarterback. My pro comparison for him is the worst version of Brett Favre and the best version of Joey Harrington. The talks of him being a first-round draft pick, I think it's all smoke. But if I was a GM and I had an aging quarterback, especially the Giants who just signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, I would look at drafting him. He's going to need to sit for a year, but then he should be ready to take over. I would draft him late second, early third, but I don't think he should fall any farther than the fourth. All right, guys. Thanks for looking at my ugly face for the last 25 minutes. I would really appreciate it if you'd follow me on TikTok, subscribe to me on YouTube, Marshals.Matters on all platforms. I would greatly appreciate it. I also have a Facebook account. Feel free to give me a like, give me a thumbs up of whatever you just watched the video, share it with your friends. Any help is appreciated. But thank you all guys for watching. Stay blessed.